So let me tell you a story of my amateur radio station and how I was kind of forced to reorganize the setup of my cables. Here is the ham station, and this is my operating position with the two monitors, my Flex 6600 radio, a Maestro controller unit, and I have two linear amplifiers, an Elecraft KPA 500 and the RF-Kit.de B26 RF 2K Plus. And I have external antenna switching. Well, you can imagine with all of this equipment, well, it got a little complicated. Let's go a little further. I got a notice by email from Flex Radio that said my 6600, which was one of the early versions sold, needed to have some product enhancements. And so I said, okay, I want to have those. And one of them could only be done at the factory. So I had to send the radio back. So that's easy, right? All you have to do is remove the radio from the desk, put it in the box, and send it back. Oh, but that's when I discovered I had a mess on my hands. My station has evolved over the years, and as I would add pieces of equipment or change pieces of equipment, the cabling, well, it just kind of took over the back of the radio. And I had things mounted on the wall behind the desk, and I would interconnect my DC power distribution, for example, or cables for my rotor, other things like that. So even zooming out a little bit, you can see that I had difficult access behind the desk, even though I'd put the desk on wheels. Well, okay, I got the radio out, but then I said, while the radio's gone, I've got to do some work here. I've got to make some changes to make maintenance a little bit easier. So time for house cleaning and reorganization. I mentioned the wheels. These are the wheels I got from Amazon. They sit underneath the table legs. It's a standard large table that you might find at your church or gathering or something like that. And actually I have a door sitting on top of the table to give me a little bit more surface space. So these are the mover dollies that are underneath the wheels and allow me to rotate the table out if only the cables I had were a little bit longer. Well, I mentioned the DC power. I removed the power distribution boxes from the wall and added a new panel to the back of my ham desk, and then I put the DC power distribution boxes on this panel. So in this way, as I swing the desk out away from the wall, all of my DC power distribution cables will come with us. So that helped things out a lot. I also took the opportunity to change out a bunch of my DC power distribution cables. Not all of them. I'm working on that. This is a work in progress. But about half of them I've changed over to two-conductor shielded cables. This was based on a comment I saw on the top band reflector about a gentleman who'd done this and actually reduced a lot of noise coming into and out of his station. So we're trying that out. I added an LED light panel that I found at the Waynesville, North Carolina Ham Fest. A gentleman was selling these. They're 12-volt powered, and that has improved the situation a lot in that I can now go behind the radio and behind the equipment and actually see what the heck I'm doing. Illumination in that area in the past was poor, and I had to either handhold a flashlight or use a trouble light. So this light is normally off, but when I need to do work behind the desk, I can plug it in, turn it on, and it really makes things a lot better. I've been able to dress up the cables. There's still a mess there, and this is a work in progress. I'm still going to improve things. But you can see now that the table can come out a great deal more than it did in the past. And so I'm able to get back in there to connect up or disconnect cables. I also built a small trolley. This is a Harbor Freight furniture dolly that I added a middle section to, and this is a cable tie clamped to the table legs so that as the table swings out, I also swing my dummy load, and also it's a 240 volt distribution box that I build up so that I can power both of my amplifiers at the same time. So here's the station back in operation again after the changes, and it really has improved things. I think it's going to improve things during contest operating. If something malfunctions, I'll be able to get back in there and fix things up. I've also done a lot of labeling of cables, so I now know what cable goes where, so it'll be a lot quicker for me to troubleshoot and find any problems that I might have. Here's the 12 volt power distribution system in operation, nothing fancy there. Here's a side view of the table as it's up against the wall. Okay, it's a view only a ham radio operator can love. The rest of the world might think it's pretty ugly, but it's a lot better than it was before. Here's that LED lighting from a different direction, and you can see the light that shines down on the back of the radios and the equipment. Makes it a lot easier to work on things. And here's also a side view to show the table is out from the wall, so you can get back in there and make some changes. And still got work to do, but it's much better than it was before. So they say real success is the success you share, so I wanted to share this with you as something that I've been working on. 73 from Whiskey 4, Echo Echo Yankee.